auction time. So somebody, I don't know why they picked this up, but it has an auction tag on it. It's an old R12 system, has basically almost no value at all. Maybe if the scale was accurate, which is questionable. They were plus or minus like 3 ounces, 2-3 ounces back in the 80s, which this is from, late 80s, early 90s. So they're totally worthless for today's cars, because today's cars you need scales that are accurate within less than a ½ ounce. So I don't know what this would be for. The gauges, you know, they have a little value, old 1980s gauges, 90s. If you could pick up some of these at auction for like 20 bucks, because they're level, it's only Mac garbage that's rebranded. And so I'd say a $20 value for a used set of old Mac gauges. This scrap metal, I mean, the moisture indicator is washed out, so this thing is highly contaminated. It had acids and sealants in it, and there's actually no color left to the moisture indicator. So that tells you that the system is highly contaminated. It's all full of mineral oil, so you could never even use it on today's cars for 134YF. So basically the only thing of value right here would be just the $20 for a used gauge set like this, and then you'd take them apart, buy the packings and rebuild them, and then they would be decent for just gauges. This was in there, and that surprised me because not many people would pay to get a good unit. I used to have the old Yokogawa ones. The original were the GE in a leather case, and you had to plug them in the wall. But this was one of the earlier, before like the Johnson Controls and Mars and stuff like that. Yokogawa, I had their refrigerant analyzers. So this was a $500 unit back in the day. And I could tell they never serviced it or did anything with it, because there's absolutely no wear marks. They're nice and crisp. So that means these were never really used. And it looks like most all the little balls in there for going around, you see the little balls inside there? It looks like some of them have been replaced, but not all. And so it's probably never been serviced, or very few times. All the little plugs for the filters are still there. So they probably never even really used this. They probably didn't know how to use it properly, and that was the main reason. It still has some of the fluid left inside here, so they never really even used that. It was stored someplace cold. Otherwise, this would have been empty by now. So it was just shelved in a garage somewhere. Probably the original, yeah, they never used that. It looking way down in there. I'm trying to look at the oxidation of the wire round. That gets hot down there. But if you could pick one of these up, it needs a new battery. When they're left set, these lead acid batteries go bad, and they're just dead. So you automatically, I think a new battery for these are $70 unless you get an aftermarket one, but the original new, you could still buy them brand new, around $70 for the battery. If you did need a new vial, I think a whole kit where you get a new vial, a new leak sensor, and you get a new pack of these is like $250. So if you could pick one of these old ones up for $75 to $100 with the new battery and sensors and stuff, you're pretty good to go. But other than that, I would not buy one of these, because you don't know the condition of the pump. The pump is made out of a like a rubber diaphragm, and I think the pump was a ridiculously high price just to order the pump, or if you send it in, it's like $300 to get it repaired. And these are now like $600 and some, but an old used one would only be worthwhile to get if it was $100 or less, because you're automatically going to do a battery, probably a sensor on most of them, calibration bottle, and the little pads and everything. So you're going to be spending another $250 plus on it to get a $100 or $75 item back up to today's specs. But yeah, if you could pick one of these up for around $100 or less, they're worth it. If somebody wants more than $100 for them, nah, buy a new one. Just spend the extra few $100s, because that's what you're gonna have to do anyway for a new sensor, calibration bottle, filters, and the battery. And that's about what oh yeah. And it looks like possibly this was the old original, leaking and corroded by hell. It's all rusty. All the paint is coming off this thing because of the slow leak of refrigerant, and the moisture in the air turns to acid. And I bet you if you cut the inside of this filter up, there's rust particles in it, and the rust particles will be just like a car inside the pump and in the unit. And yeah, I bet you that's original. And that's why when the acid level goes high, it washes out the moisture indicator, takes the dye right out of the system. All right, I'll catch you later, but I feel sorry for every customer who had this, whoever the owner of this shop was who originally owned this and was doing work on customers' cars. I feel sorry for all those customers' cars. See you guys later.